Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna, Arjuna Sakha Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome all to the Monday session of Nityam Bhagavatam. Today we will hear the nectar from Canto 5, Chapter 5th and text number 14 from His Grace Arjuna Sakha Prabhu. Prabhuji, over to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, am I audible, clearly visible?
Yes, Prabhuji. Okay.
Hare Krishna. And Prabhu, are you sharing the screen, Prabhu, with Avesh?
I will share, Prabhuji. I will share the screen.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tado Jayat Muduraye. Mukam karoti vachalam pangulangayate girim Yatkrupātamaham vande Sri Guru Dīnatarine Shunyatam Sakatha Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Hridayantasto Bhadrani Vibhunoti Sahusrudam Nashtaprayeshu Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Slokir Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So we are reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5 and verse 14. A very important and very, very sublime discussion between Rishabdev and his 100 children, right? 100 sons particularly. So this is a continuation of our previous discussion. Karmasayam hrudaya bandham. Karmasayam hrudaya bandham. Abhiddaya. Sorry. Prabhu, can you please make it up, Prabhu? Little bit up, Prabhu. Yes, that's all, Prabhu. Yeah. Karmashayam hrudaya bandham. Aviddaya asaditam apramattaha anena yogena jatha. Sorry, just a minute. Oh, it's not visible. I'm just finding out mine. Anena yogena jatha upadesham sam yoga sam yoga vyapayam upadeshamruta yoga कर्माशयां हृदयगन्तिबन्धम् अविद्यया आशदितम् अप्रमत्तः अनेन योगेन यथा उपदेशम् सम्यक् व्याप्यो उपदेश. What is coming? Okay, can you just go back to our Upadesha Yogat. Karmasrayam hridaya ganti bandham apidraya asaditam apramattaha anena yogena jathapodesham samyak jathopaya parameta yogat. Any Prabhuji Mataji you would like to recite, please?
Hare Krishna, I've unmuted the lines. Devotee wants to recite, they can. Maybe I can start, Prabhuji, and then the devotees can follow. Karmashayam hridaya granthi bandham avidyaya saditam apramattah anena yogena yathopadesham samyak vyapayoho parameta yoga.
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhu. So let's go to the purport. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As I have advised you, my dear sons, You should act accordingly. Be very careful. By these means, you will be freed from the ignorance of the desire for fruitive activity, and the knot of bondages in the heart will be completely severed. For further advancement, you should also give up the means. This is, you should not become attached to the process of liberation itself. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The process of liberation is Brahma Jigyasa, the search for the absolute truth. Generally, Brahma Jigyasa is called Neti Neti, the process by which one analyzes existence to search out for absolute truth. This method continues as long as one is not situated in the spiritual life. The spiritual life is Brahma Bhuta, the self realized state. In the word of Bhagavad Gita 18.54, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankhati samasarveshu bhutesu mad bhaktim lavati param. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the supreme Brahma and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attends pure devotional service unto me. Sorry, didn't realize my video is off. Sorry. The idea is to enter into the Parabhakti, the transcendental devotional service of the Supreme Lord. To attend this, one must analyze one's existence, but when one is actually engaged in devotional service, he should not bother us seeking out knowledge. By simply engaging in devotional service undeviantly, one will always remain in the liberated condition. Mamcha yo vyabacharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitayetan brahma bhutaya kalpate. 14.26 Bhagavad Gita. The unflinching execution of devotional service is in itself Brahma Bhuta. Another important feature in this connection is Anena Jogena Jathopadesham. The instruction received from the spiritual master must be followed immediately. One should not deviate from one or surpass the instruction of the spiritual master. One should not be simply intent on consulting books, but should spontaneously execute the spiritual master's order, Jathopadesham. Mystic power should be achieved to enable one to give up the material conception. But one actually engages in devotional service, one does not need to practice the mystic yoga system. The important is that one can give off the practice of yoga, but devotional service cannot be given up at this state in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7.10. Atmaramascha munayo nirganta upa urikrame kurvanti ahetu kim bhakti ityam bhuto guno hari. Even those who are liberated, Atmarama, must always engage in devotional service. One may give up the practice of yoga when one is self realized, but at no stage can give up the devotional service. All other activities for self realization, including yoga and the philosophical speculation, may be given up, but devotional service must be retained at all time. Such a powerful and amazing discussion that means Rishabh Dev is having. We must release this particular nectarian verse, and also we understand what is there for us as a sadhaka, what is there to learn, what we should learn from this particular verse. Om Jnanathimiranthasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakyurunmilitam Jenam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Shapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavan Samsta Sri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Idam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Shahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Nitansa He Bhakta Priya Bandhava Natavara Chudaki Rati Sekharam हे श्यामाश्रुतिसुरचिरम्बुभङ्गभङ्गिक्षणम् हे बंसी वेणुधरं त्रिभङ्गललितं रूपे जगन्मोहनं हे गोवश्य प्रतिपालकुञ्जसदनं त्राहि त्वमेवं प्रभो हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धु भयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतिश नमो नमः नमो ब्रह्मण्य देवाय गो ब्रह्मण हिताय च जगत हिताय कृष्णाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So this is such a powerful verses. Not these verses, but also the previous verses were so powerful. And starting with what? The Rishabd is very, very, very important, that verse, which is Prabhupada quoted various times, many, very various time, several times he quoted. And this is the foundational advice by Srila Prabhupada also, because the four regulative principles has come out of these verses, right? And Prabhupada, I remember, while Prabhupada was giving lecture on 5.5.10 particularly, and he given the importance of the four regulative principles in the devotional service. Devotional service is sublime, the transcendental, and each and every moment the devotee should feel the pleasure and the bliss, so that he get association of the Lord in a blissful state. And this is particularly is the advice by Rishabdev, Nayam deha dehanu bhaja nirloke kastan kama na arhashi bilpuja. Human form of life is very, very important and very, very rare. And in this human form of life, one should not waste the life just by material engagement and entanglement. This is what the 5 points that I would like to discuss about the previous. Here, he says, as I have advised you, my dear sons, you should act accordingly. Accordingly, what? According to his advice. And the very important point is be very careful. Be very careful. This is such a powerful verse, powerful word, that he wants to be alert, make everyone alert to be very careful. For what? About the instruction he has given, and to execute those instructions in our day-to-day life. And how to be alert and be careful about that, he will definitely, going further, he will be discuss about that. But at this particular verse, he wanted all his children's sons to be very careful. Because what? The Sakam karma is very dangerous. In the previous verses, he mentioned about some objective. What is the objective? The objective of human form is to tapo divyam putraka jena suddhita satta jasmin sukham anantam. You are entitled for a eternal bliss, perennial eternal bliss. You are entitled by Babu. You are perennial eternal bliss, and you should be careful for that. You long for that. Now, what does it mean? That means if you are not longing for that, or if you are not enjoying that eternal bliss, somehow you are compromising your life. And that too, very rarest of the rare life, that is human life. There is the amazing discussion in Ram Katha. If you look at the Valmiki Ramayana, the Tulsidas Ramayana, there is a discussion happening between Kaka Bhusandi and Garuda. You know, Kaka Bhusandi and Garuda, that's a long story, but I'm just cutting it short. Kaka Bhusandi is one of the very ardent devotee of the Lord. And we have seen, if you go to Jagannath Puri, you'll find the Kaka Bhusandi and the story of Kaka Bhusandi in Sarovar there. And Kaka Bhusandi, there is a discussion happening, and the discussion is happening post the Ramayana Juddha, this between Ravan and Ram. And by that time, what happened? Garuda was asked for to get rid of this Nagfas that Indrajit has put Lakshman. And by that time, he was inquisiting. Garuda was very inquisitive. Why Prabhu engaged me in his service? He himself is very much capable, but still he asked me to help him to get rid of this Nagafas. And he started inquiring. And he went to Brahmaji, thereafter to Shivji, and Shivji instructed you, if you want to understand this particular thing, why Lord is merciful and why is giving the service to you at this particular time, what is the intent behind this, you go and ask it to Kaka Bhusandi. And by that time, Garuda was a little bit of he was having in pride, and he was thinking, how come a bird be more loving than myself? I'm the dearest to the Lord. Then how come another crow, which is of the lower form of the bird, he'll be giving instruction to me? That to not by any ordinary persons, but it is instructed by whom? The Shiva himself, Lord Shiva himself. Anyhow, with the pride in the mind, he went to Kaka Bhusandi. And there was a huge discussion, that is a long discussion happening between these two. And during that time, Garuda asked Kaka Bhusandi, after knowing that he is really one of the very, very ardent devotee of the Lord, and we can't find anybody in this of his cadre. Now he is very much convinced, and there was a discussion, and Garuda asked 6 questions. The first question: what is the most rarest and the sublime form of body in life in this cosmos? And Kaka Bhusandi, without any doubt, spontaneously came out that is the only human being. To get a human being is very rarest. It is the human being through which is the body, through which you can discharge a devotional service. But unfortunately, this is also the human body that's allowed you to contaminate from the metal gain and metal enjoyment. This is one side. This is running the age of the Rajar's age. And particularly when you are talking about the devotional service, it is walking in the Sar Rajar's age. That's why he is saying that be careful, very careful. Now, Kaka Bhusandi continued, human form of life is extremely, extremely rare, and it is the only way that through this body you can discharge the responsibility of a devotional service. You can understand the Lord, and you get the love of the Lord, and that should be the objective of human life. And there is a long discussion that happened. But at this particular time, if you can correlate the discussion between Kaka Bhusandi and Garuda, and the discussion between Rishabdev and his 100 sons, you'll find there is a correlation that human form is very rare. And it is only the human body which gives you opportunity to understand the Lord and also engage in the devotional service. Uddhasya ardhasya udha prasuti jasya sakha gune prabudha vishaya pravala. Right? And Lord Krishna in the 15th chapter also tells the same thing. It is the human being. Adasya mulani anusantatani karmanu bandhini manushya. And it is a human being who can cut the attachment. And Rishabdev that mentioned about the very important points. First is what he says, the number one, human form is very rare. And the only objective of human life should get the eternal, get connected with the Lord to get what? To the perennial eternal bliss. And how can you do that? By coming to your constitutional position, by cleansing your Chetana, by securing your constitutional position. And what is the constitutional position? The constitutional position of a soul, Jiver Swarup hai, Krishna Nityadas. Krishna Tatastha Sakti Bheda Bhed Prakash. The soul is nothing but this energy the para energy, Tatastha Sakti of the Lord. And what is the Swarup? Is to be servant of the Lord, to always be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. Then what you'll get? You'll get this ultimate bliss, supreme bliss, the perennial eternal bliss that you'll be getting. So this is the first point. Second point, he talks about how to get that. How to get that? Definitely, we're longing for that, but this is theoretical. What is the practical approach to do that? The practical approach he's mentioned about Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahu Vimukta. Mahat Seva. Mahat Seva is you go and discharge your service to the Mahajanas. And Srimad Bhagavatam also says, Mahajana Yena Gatasya Pantha. You must discharge your responsibility, service onto the lotus feet of the Bhakta. So this is the second point. Third is, otherwise what happened? Otherwise you'll always be engaged in the tamasic activities and also sakam karma, you'll always be entangled. And that will be the gateway for hell. Tamadwaram jositam, and very carefully is mentioned, Tamadwaram jositam sangishunga. And particularly when you are associated with this three sangha, that will be definitely not the right way. And if you look at the entire discussion, we can see and you can correlate between the point of Rupa Goswami. What is that? Anukulena Shankalpa Pratikulena Varjitam. What are the things that is favorable to Krishna consciousness and what are the things that is unfavorable to Krishna consciousness? Anukulena Shankalpa Pratikulena Varjitam. And Rishabdev is saying, what is Anukul? Mahat Sevam. The serving to the devotee is definitely the Mahat Seva. Now, otherwise, in the contrary, if you are entangled in the material world, you'll always be securing a position in the hell. Now, he mentioned develop the detest and detachment from the material world. And particularly, he mentioned very, very, very clearly mentioned about number one, the three, the family members, the ghar, the griha, that means your house and all this, you should develop the detachment or detest from the material world. Because why instructed his children, his sons, because if you are getting entangled, that's what happened. You'll never get rid of this ignorance. You'll never get rid of these knots, particularly. You cannot cut the knots. Asanga sastrena drudena chindwa. Lord Krishna says, you must develop the detachment and also cut the knot that is beholding you. And similarly, Rishabdev is also telling the same thing, that unless you develop the detest and detachment from this material entanglement, you can't be able to cut the knots that is binding you. And particularly for wise man, it is not suitable to lead a life or waste human life, situating or maybe remaining in this material world. And how to do that? He says very clearly, unless and until you develop the taste for the Lord, unless and until you are Krishna Mukh. Now you are Krishna Bimukh. Now, unless and until you move towards Krishna, you can't develop the detest for this middle game. This is the very important point he advised. So we can see very, very important our story from all the great saints, particularly if you look at the Jamunacharya at this point of time. Jamunacharya he was a very devoted, but somehow he got attachment towards the kingdom. He became the king of Madurai and ruling of up to 32 years. And by that time, one of the devotee and the disciple of his grandfather, Ramachandra, Ramabhadra has come and giving consistent the prasadam, Krishna prasadam. Each and every day he used to come, offer this prasadam, this saga to the king. And one day he was molded towards Krishna, right? And Krishna also says, Vishaya binibartante niraharasya dehina, rasho bharyam rasho pasya param dushta nivartate, right? And unless and until we get the taste of the supreme or maybe the higher taste, We cannot give up our lower taste. And thereafter, what he says, after getting the taste of Srimad Bhagavatam, particularly hearing the Katha of Srimad Bhagavad Gita from Ramabhadra, immediately after 7 days of hearing continuously under a tree, he started thinking, let me distribute all the kingdom to my, give off the kingdom and give the kingdom back to the original king. Without even a thought, without giving an iota, without having an iota of doubt. And he beautifully described Jad Vidhi Mama Chitta, Jad Avadhi Mama Chitta Krishna Padaravind. You might have heard about the beautiful verse. The moment I got associated or the test, the Charanamrit or the Charana, I fixed my mind in the Charan of Krishna. Jad Vidhi, Jad Avadhi Mama Chitta, my consciousness got fixed in this Krishna's lotus feet. And now what I'm getting? I'm getting a nectarian of the melodies or this transcendental, the vibes in my life. And I can releases the nectar, each a new nectar, Nava Nava. Every day I'm releasing some Nutan, that is Nava Nava, that nectarian, the swad, the test of the lotus feet. And now he's saying, Tad Vidhi. Now, what happens because of this? Now I've developed the test, and when I think and remember, recollect those days of my kingdom or the king seat, what I do, the only spit comes out of my jiva, my that is lips. The only spits is coming out of my lips. What a powerful that means experience. This is not theoretical. It is from right from the saint. And this is the process Krishna also given to us. The only process is Vishaya Vinivartante Niraharasya Dehin. We need to develop the higher test in order to get rid of this lower test. And this lower test, we're so comfortable, we're so comfortable in the lower test that we forget that who am I. And that is the biggest problem. This is the biggest problem in our life. So in that particular points, he says that you need to understand the Atma Tattva. And unless you are associated with the Lord, the devotee, and unless you start inquisitively asking the question, who am I? Who am I? What is my constitutional position? You'll no longer will be developing the test. And you will never be get rid of the suffering, the material suffering. Without clearing, now he's saying, without cleansing this consciousness, without cleansing the consciousness, you cannot develop the taste even. So, in order to develop the taste, get association of the Krishna, develop the taste of the devotional service, what you need to do? You need to clear your consciousness. And the first instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says the same thing. Chetu darpanam marjinam bhavamaha davagni nirbhavanam. Sri Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. And now he says these three gunas, three mode of nature, particularly this Tama guna and Rajas guna is very powerful. And because of this power of the Rajo and Tamasic gunas, we are always entangled. And without this higher support, we cannot do this by any means. We can get rid of this particular problem. And Krishna says in Mama Maya Durattaya. But the only solution is Mameva jab prapaddante maya vedantarantite. We can get rid of we can come out of this three mode of nature only by the mercy of the Lord. And whoever developed the taste of the Lord and whoever walk in this path, definitely what they did, they could get rid of this. And they develop and they releases the nectar of the relationship with the Lord. And this is the power what we did. Now he says in this particular verse, there is few things that we need to discuss. What Prabhupada says beautifully, he is mentioning about the Brahma Jigyasa. Brahma Jigyasa, the human form of life, if you look at the Vedanta Sutra, it says Athato Brahma Jigyasa, begins of the life with this particular thing. Jigyasa means inquisitiveness. Who is Brahma? What is Brahma? What is my relationship with the Brahma, right? The Brahma Jigyasa. And what is he mentioned about Neti Neti? What is Neti? Neti is not that, not that, not that. Just to cut it. No, no, not this, not this, not this. Until and unless you get the supreme and ultimate point, unless and until you get this ultimate practice, more and more association, more and more the relationship, the higher and higher relationship that you develop, and it just comes with the sadhana, the daily practice. Until then, everything still goes neti neti. And because of the jigyasa, that you'll keep on enduring and putting efforts. Now, until you search out the absolute truth. And Prabhupada says this method continues as long as one is not situated in the spiritual life. Unless and until we fix off the mind. And if you look at the 9 steps by Rupa Goswami that is mentioned, Ado Shraddha Tatu Sadhu Shanga, he mentioned about the Nistha. Unless we achieve the Nistha, that our spiritual course will never be complete. And that is the beginning of this spiritual process, spiritual life. Now, in these 2 particular verse, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, Prabhupada mentioned about, and if you read or maybe if you look at if you listen lectures of Srimad Bhagavatam from Srila Prabhupada, many times he's quoted both these verses simultaneously. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. Most of the time, if you look his sequence, the first he will recite Mam cha abhyabhachareni bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatirtaitan brahma bhutaya kalpate. Again, immediately he will not say, he will not stop and pause. Now Prabhupada will say, Brahma bhuta prasannatma na sochati na kankati samasarveshu bhutesu mad bhaktim lavati param. Because this is the sequence. And this sequence start with the devotional service. Mamcha avyabhachareni. This particular point is very, very important. Those who are associated or engaged in the avyabhachareni bhakti, what they do? They transcend from the guna and they achieve the guna of the Lord. And the Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. And they are called the Brahma Bhuta. Being in the same life, same body. Being in the same body, still you transcendent from the gunas, but also you are situated in bhakti, in the devotional service. And this is very, very critical, very important points. This is the this is the point one transformation point of human life. This is the point of transformation. Definitely at this particular point, what we think, that means now my real life begins. My real life begins. The real spiritual life begins with the Brahma Bhuta states. Now, Prabhupada says, this is not enough. Transforming or transmigrating from the human body, the thought, human Chetana or consciousness, to the Brahma Bhuta, Brahma consciousness is not enough. Now, what requires to be done? Now, the real activities begins. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. This is the state of the ultimate bliss. And what Rishabh Dev is advising, you deserve this Prasannatma. You deserve to be eternally blissful. That is your constitutional position. But in order to get this constitutional position, what do? You need to be in this state. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. Na sochati na kankati. No lamentation, no desire. No fearful state. Get rid of all the material entanglement. Out of the fearful state, na sochati. Never think, never plan. What I'll do, always be dependent on the plan of the Lord. Because by the time you think, my job is only one thing, to discharge my devotional service unto the Lord at lotus feet. Na sochati, na kankati. Samasarveshu bhutesu. Now you can see is equiposed. If you go to this Bhagavad Gita 6.1213 and also 6.18, there are points that Krishna says that he talks about the 3 things. He talks about the people, the gold, peoples and gold, and these are all equal. Now he also gives the another further one things. Everybody is equal. Samadrishta, those who are Upadeshak, advisor to you, those who are enemy for you of yours, those who are Samadarsi, that means they are neutral. Everybody is equal for you. For whom? Those who are in the trance, those who are devoted. Because everybody, because what is happened? Krishna says again, he says, whenever you look anything or anything, you can see nothing but Krishna, nothing but the energy of the Lord prevailing each and every places. And here, what is it? Brahmabhuta prasannatma na sochati na kankati samasarvesu bhutesu madbhaktim lavate para. This is the qualification one deserve to have the bhakti. And the bhakti is not ordinary things. Bhakti is the supreme and extremely utmost achievement of a human form of life. Mad bhaktim lavate param. That is parabhakti. So in order to get this, now Prabhupada says, in order to achieve this, the begins with the end. You are having your goal set off now. Yes, I deserve to release the nectar eternally. I deserve that. And in order to get that, I must be in the constitutional position. Now, what constitutional position is talking about? Mamcha. And how to get this constitutional position back? By cleansing. Mamcha avyavachareni bhakti yogena shivati. In order to get this, you must discharge the devotional service. Is there any process which can help you getting this? No. 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 There is no other ways. There are three different, that's yoga. Lord Krishna has given to us. What is the three yoga? There is karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, and again the bhakti yoga. And it is only the bhakti yoga which will liberate you from the mental contaminations and put you in the devotional service of the Lord with eternity. And that's why the lots of emphasis is given. And particularly if you look at this 11.55, particularly Krishna, the bhakti means engaging each and every potency of yours, your heart, mind, soul, everything for the service of the Lord. This is bhakti. Bhakti is not that you go to this Himalaya or maybe you leave everything, you get out of your family, and thereafter bhakti will come. No. Bhakti is engaging each and every entity of yours, every energy of yours, each and every, that means facility given to you in the service of the Lord. That is bhakti. 11.55, if you go to that, what it says, mat karma krit, mat parama, mat bhakta sangha varjita, nirvairo sarva bhutesu yasa mam eti pandava. You'll achieve me. I'll become yours. By when? By doing this. Engage in my devotional service. And devotional service is not theoretical, it's practical, practical, and practical. This is why Krishna says, Jnanam teha savijnanam. And that's again he says, Susukham karturabhyam. The moment you do it, experience it by yourself, then only you'll get the Susukham, the eternal bliss. And whoever done this, whoever executed this, then definitely they achieved it. And again, there is important point is avyavacharini bhakti. This is very important points. Not just bhakti. We have seen there is different stages of bhakti. We have sadhana bhakti, vidhi bhakti, and ultimately goes to raganuga bhakti. And just for the discharging, yes, sadhana bhakti, we are all contaminated. We are living in our material world at this point of time. But that begins, the bhakti devotes starts with this particular thing, although shraddha. With this shraddha, that's the start. And Rupa Goswami, he's mentioned, anukulena sankalpa pratikulena varjitam. But along with this anukulena sankalpa, what to do, being committed to the do's and determined for not to do's. Anukulena sankalpa, being committed for what must be done or maybe to do. And what is that? Pratikulena varjitam. And to get rid of all things that is not favorable and unfavorable. But along with this, also very important point, Rakshasi iti Vishwas. To develop the belief system, the faith in Krishna, asansaya samagrama, asansaya samagrama. And here he says, I've mentioned about all these things. Now he's talking about one very important point. Be very careful. The word is very, very careful, very important for all of us, those who are in sadhana. Why this word is very important? Prabhupada demonstrated this in a very beautiful way in each and every walk of his life. How this is very carefully we can understand from Prabhupada is like this. One of his disciple, that is after the initiation, you should have 3 rounds of bead, right? 3 rounds of beads. But Prabhupada one day he saw one of his disciple is not wearing the beads in 3 rounds. Immediately Prabhupada says, he started scolding, what are you doing? No, Prabhupada, it has got broken. Okay, it's broken, but why you are not mending it? That means you are not serious. No, Prabhupada, I'll do it tomorrow. Prabhupada says, what if you die today in the night? That means you are aware that you are conscious that you'll be alive tomorrow morning. What if the Yamadut come, or maybe your death comes and spontaneously take you away? Then what will happen? The Yamadut will say there is no conti in your gala and they'll take you. That means you lost your very sublime life. And this is very important point. So we never take it seriously, and because we take it for granted, the human life is granted. My time is definitely secured for 80 years. Not like everybody may die, but I will alive for 85 years. No point, no doubts in it. Asansaya samagrama. I'm completely doubtful, doubtless, completely out of doubt that I'll be alive till 85 years. But when it comes to Krishna Katha, sansayam, purna sansaya. They're all sincere. But Krishna says, don't believe in your mind, believe in me. Asansaya shamagrama. And what he talk about now, when you're talking about anukulena shankalpa, pratikulena virjitam, rakshashiyati viswasa. This point is very important points. And what Prabhupada mentioned very beautifully is about how to do that. Guru Mukha Padmabhakya Chitte Kariyakya Arana Karihamunasha. Whatever being come out from the mouth of the Guru, that is the ultimate instruction for me. And discharging that particular point is the only and only service for a human being. And Prabhupada demonstrated it. The moment Guru instructed him, go out, you are very good in English, go out and preach. You are very good in writing books, earn money. Whenever you earn money, publish books and distribute. And that's why BBT is world's largest publisher in the world now. Why so? This is the instruction of the Guru. Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chittete Kariya Akya Arana Kariha Mane Asha. There is nothing other than this, the instruction of the Guru. If Guru says, go and preach, preach. And here Prabhupada says, the idea entered to the Parabhakti, the transcendental devotional service of the Supreme Lord. To attend this, one must analyze one's existence. Who am I? But when one is actually engaged in the devotional service, you should not bother seeking out knowledge. By simply engaging in the devotional service deviantly, one will always remain in the liberated condition. Now, in order to do that, what you do, you need to take the shelter of Guru and Mahajan. Now, in the previous chapter, previous verse, in the 10th verses, what is the first thing that he instructed? Go to a Paramahans Guru. Go to a Paramahans Guru and learn what is the devotional service. Now, when we already gone and taken shelter of the Guru, now what we need to do? We need to be very, very careful to listen to the instruction of the Guru, and now being very careful about discharging the duty, discharging the service. This is one of the very important points that I want to highlight this. Particularly those who are exalted Vaishnavas, those who are very serious in their devotional service. I've seen it in my with the blessings of the Lord, with, I got this krupa, basically the mercy, being associated with very amazing devotees in life. And one thing I found, they're very, very, very careful about their day-to-day life. They're eating prasadam, they're serving the deities, they're serving this Guru's instruction, particularly behaving the co-devotees, particularly the Vaishnavas. They're so careful and meticulously planned, and also so careful about this. This we need to learn from them. And particularly, they are very careful about Vaishnava Aparat. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, "This you are here. We all are here to practice our devotional service, right? And when you are practicing our devotional service, we should be very careful that our devotional tree is nurturing, is the lata is growing up as expected, right? And the bhakti lata that's growing up, but along with this, we also be careful it is protected properly. We are responsible for our own bhakti lata. Uddharet atmanam atmanam na atmanam avashade. This is the instruction Lord Krishna has given. Take responsibility for yourself. Don't allow yourself to fall down. We have come, we have learned that, you get that knowledge, you acquired that knowledge, and we started practicing. We taken the shelter, we started asking this question, who am I? And in order to get this answer, we have surrendered to the gurus, we have surrendered to the Vaishnavas. And now, with the mercy of the Vaishnavas, mercy of the gurus, we got this seed of the devotional service. And after getting this devotional service, we already planted. And after planting this growing, and now we're not careful. What will happen? The thing can imagine. You have already put huge amount of time and efforts in order to grow your bhakti lata. And this already started coming out. It has already reached to this particular level. Now, if you are not careful, what will happen? It will be taken away by animals and other things. And it is called Hati Mata. And this is Vaishnava Aparad. First thing that we must be very, very careful about the Aparad, Vaishnava Aparad. Vaishnava Aparad is any means, if it is coming in your mind, that means it will definitely jeopardize the spiritual progress. And that is the only concern for everybody. And I have seen it very minutely, observing very minutely. All the ardent devotees, very highly engaged devotees, elevated devotees, they are very careful about these particular things. And they never take it anything for granted. Particularly the instruction of Srila Prabhupada, the four regulative principles, instruction of the gurus, instruction of the Shastras, Sadhu Guru Sastra Vakya, Tinite Kariyakya, they never let loose. And this is how one must be important, one must be practicing in very carefully. And finally, the very important words Prabhupada says, how long you will continue to do this? How long we should be careful about this? How long will be engaging in the devotional service? Remember this particular verse from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundari kavitava jagadish kamai mama janmani janmanishware bhagavatam bhakti rahetu kittvai. Janmani janma, birth after birth, birth after birth. What are the things? Bhagavatir bhakti ahetu kitve. Let me discharge this devotional service birth after birth. Never ending. Here Prabhupada says, the jnana, dhyana can be seized in a particular time. Once you get the samadhi, once you are in trance, you must cease to practice. But when it comes to devotional service, it is never to be ceased. It need to continue Mama Janmani Janmanishware. And there's a beautiful, wonderful verse he has quoted here. And this particular verse will take at least 2-3 days to understand. What is the verse? Atma Ramasya Munayo Nirganta Api Urukrame Kurbanti Ahetukim Bhaktim Ityam Bhuta Guno Hari. This particular verse took huge amount of time. The discussion happened, you all know, the discussion between Raya Ramadan and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They finally, everything, all the questions and answer came and stalled here. And this is the verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Raya Ramanand releases for 2 months around. And what it talks, even you achieve the highest platform of devotional service, you releases, you practically experience this nectar. But still, the devotional service is so sublime that it will continue, continue, and continue. Because even you come to the stage of Atmaram. Atmaram means one, those who Ramanti, Atma, At, those who are, they got all the nectar and they get all the nectar from their own Atma by the grace of the God, that is Atmaram Sthiti. And even those who liberated Atmaram must always engage in devotional service. One must give up the practice of yoga when one isn't self-realized, but that at this stage can give up the devotional service. No stage, devotional service can be given up. This is the point that I'm talking about, referring to. Because this devotional service, Nava Nava, Nava Nava. Krishnar Madhurya Nitya Nava Nava Hoy. Krishnar Madhurya Nitya Nava Nava Hoy. What does it mean? The madhurya, the relations, the nectarine exchange of love is new. Each and every day, each and every moment, you'll feel the fraction of newness in the relationship. And that's why Anandam Ambudhi Vardhanam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say, there is no limit to this Ananda. And it keep on increasing and increasing and increasing. Not neti neti, but yes, Bhrutta, Bhrutta, Pralayati. This world, the pleasure of happiness of this metal world is Bhrutta, Bhrutta, Pralayati. Each and every the diminishing trend. You get this nectar, the happiness, you got it, and the happiness will be gradually coming down, 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 and down. Bhrutta, Bhrutta, Pralayati. But what about this nectar, the devotional service, nectar of devotional service? This is Bhuta, Bhuta, Sanatana, increasingly incremental, and it is eternal. Bhuta Bhuta Sanatana. This is the difference between bliss and happiness, the devotional bliss and the material happiness. But who will get it? Susukham Karturabhyam, those who can do. And the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, you will be getting this nectar. Who? Those who have done something. What is that something? Those who have done the devotional service, little bit of devotional service. And what is the most important one? Those who have done Srutubhi, Krutubhi, Susrusruvi, Tatkyanat. Those who have done something in his life, then only he'll get the nectar and releases the nectar in blissfully. And in order to get, we need to do something. Krutubhi, Susrusruvi. And what is the Krutubhi? That means chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And what is Susrubhi? Susrubhi is nothing but the hearing the Krishna Katha, hearing this nectar of the glories of the Lord. Satam prashangat mama veera shambido bhavanti hrutkan rashayana katha. So this is the Krutubhi and Susrushavi. And once someone is inquisitive and start hearing and listening and chanting the name of the Lord, the bliss start and enter your life. And the bliss is not Bhrutva Bhrutta Pralyate, but Bhuta Bhuta Sanatana, Ananda Mambudhivartana, eternal, perennial. And this will only be experienced, not theoretically. Theoretically, you may listen for 1 hour and get it. But if you releases that, Krishna comes in your heart. It is perennial, each and every moment. That's what Rishabdev wants all of us as a human being. We deserve this, and this is our constitutional right. This is our right. And unless we do that for this, if you're not longing for this, that means we're not leading a human life, but we are wasting our precious life. Nayam deh dehanu bhaja nirloke kastan kaman na arhati vidhujan. Tapo divyam putrakajena suddheta satta jasmin sukham anantam. We deserve the ananta sukham. We deserve this blissful moment, perennial bliss. But we don't compromise with this, the longing, material longing. That's what the advice. And this is what the very, very important point that Srila Prabhupada has quoted many times. He's instructed us many times, many lectures. He has given this particular verse, and we should understand this. We should take care very seriously and very carefully. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for giving the service. And I'm sorry it got extended for 15 minutes. And if you have any questions or anything that you can take it, Prabhu, if you have time.
We have, Prabhuji. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Maybe just quickly to the points that you made. One very important is like how human life is very rare and how we should not waste our human life and what it should be involved in, how we should utilize our human life by engaging in devotion service. And the last point, which you again summarized now, was the last verse that Prabhupada has mentioned in the shloka was a striking one that wherever you are, whatever position you are, devotional service is the only objective of
Only
being.
objective.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I'll just open up the lines for devotees so they can ask the questions if they have inputs, thoughts. Let me just unmute them. Yes, devotees, you can, I've unmuted the lines. You can please go ahead and ask the questions, inputs, thoughts, or comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Thank you so much for a wonderful class. I have one question, Prabhuji. So, you talked about Vaishnava Aparad. All of us know we don't want to be doing Vaishnava Aparad and we will be very careful not to commit it. But there might be situations which we might not be aware of and unknowingly we might commit aparads. So, what to do as a prayaschitta for those things which we will not be aware of? Hare Krishna.
This is a very important question, Prabhu, and it should be asked by everyone all the time. So what should you do? And that too, particularly when you are not aware to what aparadha you have done. Particularly, that reminds me the story of Rupa Goswami. And he was chanting, and during the chanting, what happens? He was remembering the pastime of Krishna and Radharani, right? And by the time, what happens is a devotee was coming from the opposite direction, and he saw the Rupa Goswami smiling. And what he thought? He thought that probably Rupa Goswami is smiling at me because of my deformity in the body.
I think Hare Krishna, I think Prabhu has some issues in network. We'll just give. Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you now.
Am I back, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, you are. Please go ahead.
The moment we are doing aparad, particularly, Vaishnava aparad, particularly, when it comes, that impact your chanting, that impact your service in the temple, your mind will start chatting or chattering will start happening. That is the indication that you have done some aparad. Now, at this point of time, you don't know whom you have done mistake. What the mistake you have done, now you go, first thing that you need to go is go to the Radharani, Radha Binod, and pray for that. I might have done some mistakes, must be have some mistakes. Thereafter, go to the center of Prabhupada. Prabhupada, I have done some mistake, I don't know. And while chanting your rounds, always be careful and pray for that. I might have done some mistakes. Please forgive me. Because you don't know, you are yet to discover. And Sanatan Goswami prescribed to find out the mistakes. You all know that story. And in this similar fashion, maybe in some other way, innovative way, some new way you can think about finding out, or maybe consulting with your senior mentors, or maybe we have mentors of our life, right? The spiritual mentor, you consult them, speak to them individually. What is the symptoms coming out? What is the way that you can find out? What is the way you can get rid of the Vaishnava Aparad? And once you find out, immediately, without unconditionally, go and ask for forgiveness. I remember when one class in the last week, we were discussing about particular Vaishnava Aparad. And Mataji unmute herself and asked this question. And he started this question so wonderfully, and he started crying. Why? Because she has done some offense, Vaishnava Aparad. And now in front of 200 people, 200 devotees, is with open heart, with a big courage, is confessing that I have done this mistake. And this mistake has given a lot of pain to the devotee. And I have been trying to reach him, but is unable to find that, unable to express that. But this is the platform I would like to express. Such a wonderful way, such a courage is required. And devotional service, when we are doing that, means a lot of courage is required, definitely, right, bro? So this is how we can do that. This is such a, I was so impressed with that way. So anyhow, so this is the thing that we should go first. Pray for the Lord, pray to the Lord, Radharani and Krishna, pray to Prabhupada, pray to our parampara. That's why we each and every day before chanting Om Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sriva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda, so that whatever aparat comes to, or maybe please forgive me in advance, right, Prabhu? And similarly, if you don't know, that means nothing but the forgiveness will help us. Begging for forgiveness will help us to Parampara, to Prabhupada, to our Guru. And also, if you have anybody to whom we can consult, to your mentor or maybe senior devotees, that you can take care of.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for asking this wonderful question. So, if anything to add or any, I request if you have anything to add, please. Or otherwise, if you have any questions, you can. Otherwise, Prabhu, you can.
Prabhuji, one quick question I had when I
Yeah,
was the translation by Prabhupada. So in the Prabhupada, the third line, Prabhupada says, by these means, you will be freed from the ignorance of the desire for fruitive activity. So it's Prabhupada is mentioning not only the act, but also the desire, right, Prabhuji?
yes.
Could you just elaborate, Prabhuji, on that?
Yes, Prabhu. Mukti hitva anyatha rupam swarupena avasthiti. And Prabhupada says here, if you look at this instruction of Rupa Goswami, even mukti is also dangerous for devotee. And mukti, and you should, this is also anyatha rupam. This is not the constitutional position. The longing for the mukti, the desire from mukti is also very dangerous for a devotee. Because when you have the desire for mukti, that means you are attached to that. And that attachment will also be binding you. And Prabhupada, by trying to, what he is trying to say, that even get rid of the desire of mukti. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Mama Janmani Janmanishwari. He does not want to be liberated. Rather, he wants to come back time and again, time and again, time and again, and to do the discharge of devotional service. If he is longing for coming to this world time and again, and what will happen? That means I want to be liberated. Opposite to that is the liberation. But what he says? Time and again. If you remember and maybe recite this very amazing, that the prayer of Britrasur, what he says, give me the birth so that I'll be engaged in the devotional service of your devotee, right? And this is away from, this is the contrary to this, the desire from mukti, the desire to have mukti. And that's why Rupa Goswami says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is described that Sakale Ashant. Even the Mukti Kami, those who are desiring from Mukti, also Asant. They remain in the position of bewilderment, Samudbigna, or maybe Udbigna state, because they cannot be in peace. They're compromising with the peace. But when you're talking about the Krishna Bhakta, Niskam, you don't have any desire. Whatever Krishna gives me, that is acceptable. Whatever comes to me, it is acceptable. The only thing is the devotional service. To the pleasure of the Lord, pleasure of the Guru, pleasure of the Parampara. And otherwise, what happens if you are having mukti, desire for mukti, and if it is not doing that, either you get agitated or you get angry or hesitation, or you get greed and anger. And you have given the example of Vishwamitra also, right? Given the example of Durvasa Muni, how Durvasa Muni was getting agitated, and in the contrary, Amrish Maharaj was completely in trance. Even in that particular situation also was instance, because the difference between Muktikami and Niskam. And that's why Prabhupada here wanted to mention that even get rid of this, the desire for liberation also. There is no Niskam, Krishna Bhakta Niskam, Ataib Sant. It is acceptable, whatever comes to Krishna in my devotional service, whatever Krishna gives to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The desires also can disturb our sadhana, even if
Correct, Prabhu. And desire is the beginning of disturbance, Prabhu. It is the seed of all the trouble. The desire itself is the seed of all the troubles. Ichcha dvesa samutvena dvanda mohena bharata. Right? And that desire, we should take care of the desire. And what the desire? The desire should be diverted. Diverted. You cannot get rid of the desire, right? When you are having a mind, the desire will come. Consistently will come. But the only thing that you can do, by purifying your Chaitana, we can divert your desire towards the Krishna consciousness, divert your Chaitana, your desire towards the service of the Lord. Kama Krishna Karma Arpana. Kama means a desire. The desire, but what to do? The desire should be diverted towards this Krishna service. Then only you will be safe. Otherwise, no. And how can that be possible? That is only by possible when you are taking shelter of the lotus feet consistently. Krishna Tadiyo Pad. Padam, otherwise, Padam Padam Jad Padam. Every moment there is trouble. Padam Padam Jad Padam. Otherwise, we are not safe, Prabhu. This is the only place, safest place. When we are taken the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, taken the shelter of the lotus feet of the Guru, then we are safe in the matter. Otherwise, our desire will be diverting ourselves.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Any other questions anybody has? Else we can end the session today. Okay, Prabhuji. I think we'll end the session today by
Thank you very much.
Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhya patitanam Vaishnavibhyo Anantagoti Vaishnavibhyo Krishna Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavata Pranam Prabhu.
Dandavata Pranam. All glories to assembled devotee. All glories to assembled devotee. All glories to...
I'll end the session now. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, once again.